Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, we're going to talk about deck number 327, Miss Saheeli the Gifted. Yeah. 2+1s. That's kind of amazing. 4 for 4 loyalty starting out is not bad either. And I'll just straight up be honest with you. When this card was spoiled, I read it, and one specific card came to mind. Yeah, that first ability is cute and all, but the second ability is what grabbed me. The next spell you cast costs 1 less. Okay, so the next spell you cast has affinity for artifacts. They just are super scared of that word, so, they don't print it. And I thought, wow. You know what I want to make cost 1 less? We all thought it. Darksteel Colossus. It's the card. Here again, infect is another one of those words that they are scared of, that they haven't printed this Joker. It's just got this one Mirrored and Besieged printing, and wow. I mean, I couldn't believe what the price of this thing has done. This is my last one, and I think I'm probably not looking for any more at that price. Anyway, so let's get some artifacts out on the board so that we have something to make cheaper. So, of course, first off, we're going to do our ramp or color fixing, whatever. Is it, needs it. We got the Signet, the Clue Stone, the Key Rune. Of course, I have the appropriate 2 mirrors. Whoop. I bumped my camera. The 2 mirrors. Of course, Soul Ring, Power Stone, Mind Stone, Hedron, Gilded Lotus, and I've got Blink Moth Urn in there because, let's face it, that's mana acceleration. It's just dumb. Now, I kind of count stuff like this. Your artifact costs 1 less. That's kind of rampish too, as many artifacts as we have. So here goes with them. The Foundry Inspector, of course, Jorah's Familiar, the Herald of Kozilek. Hey, Colas, Ethereum Sculptor, Stone Calendar. Now, I am on purpose using Stone Calendar instead of Helm of Awakening. And yeah, Helm of Awakening will probably be better than some cards in the deck, but Helm of Awakening does everybody. And Stone Calendar just does you. I guess that's the difference in 2 and 5 mana. I figured in a deck producing this much mana, it's probably not that big of a deal. I've used Stone Calendar for years, but I like it. And then, of course, lastly, we've got the Valdakan Engineer, which is way better than the original one that I think Ice Age gave us, because you could only tap it for the 2 mana, could only activate. Here, you can cast or activate artifacts with the mana, so that's pretty neat. Let's look at our other creatures that are not artifacts, all 3 of them. Of course, we have Slowbad the Tinker. And yes, Darksteel Forge would make this deck infinitely times better. However, it's not in here because they didn't give us Darksteel Forge in this set. Anyway. Well, actually, in Slowbad set they did, but not in C18. Y'all know what I'm saying. But Slowbad's pretty neat. You can sack one of your Thopter tokens that we're going to have a bunch of to make whatever industrial. Then we have our girl, Jorah. Man, this still my favorite card from Dominaria. I don't know if it's the art, if it's the ability, if it's all the above. I love. Y'all heard me rant on this already, but play an artifact, draw a card, which is pretty much what this says. I mean, well, yeah, I guess that encompasses your general too because it's historic, but it's whatever. And then our last one, I figure why not? You know what I'm saying? This is probably 2 mana. Yeah, also thought about Michaels of the Golem, but that last Michaels of the Golem that y'all saw, yeah, that was the last one I had, so. And it was pretty rough. It's seen some love. Anyway, this thing's just ridiculously big. It's flying, and it costs 2 mana most of the time. Let's see what we've got here. I guess we should probably look at, the other artifact creatures. Of course, we're playing with Blightsteel, so it stands to reason that we'd play with the little brother. Actually, I guess they're the same size. So probably not little brother, probably not infected brother. So Darksteel Colossus, there again, just a huge, amazing robot. We do have a lot of artifacts, so the Darksteel Jugs here is so awesome he's fuzzing. There we go. Darksteel Juggernaut's going to be probably just as big as the Colossus. Now, Steel Hellkite is in there. Yeah, I mean, it's not a 6-mana 5/5, but that removal is... I have a distinct feeling that this is going to be worth more to us now than it was 3 to 6 months ago. The ability to destroy tokens for 0 mana and anything else, I think, is going to be earn its weight in gold. Now, Ancient Stone Idol, I'm trying this out. Actually, I played last night. As I record this, it's Saturday. But last night we played an 8-player game, and which is normally we have 6 or 7 players, but we had 8. It was a blast. And I had Ancient Stone Idol in my hand, and I never got to cast it because I was doing crazy Xancha shenanigans. Y'all saw that deck. It was nuts. Ended up winning that game, by the way. Burnished Heart is just for more ramp, and if we can get it back or copy it or whatever, you know. I don't know. I love Burnished Heart, y'all know that, but especially to get the only foil Burnished Heart I have. By the way, I picked this up from my local game shop. By the way, I hadn't said it in a while. Support your friendly local game shops. My job is going to take me out of town next week, so I'm trying to record up some episodes so y'all don't miss anything. But I'm going to try to stop at as many local game stores as possible and just, you know, see what's going on, see what if I can find anything I'm looking for, just whatever. But support your local game shops. Anyway, I picked this up. I love Burnished Heart. It's foil. I don't know if this is because I don't have like a Goblin Welder in here to abuse it, but that sure would be sweet, and I think I need one. Anyway, rambling. Meteor Golem is just, I mean, it's good. It gives us 187 for, you know, most of the time colors that don't have it. Of course, Thopter Assembly they gave us. Inkwell Leviathan. Scrap Trawler. Scrap kind of worth its weight. You know what I'm saying? You're going to... Now, may not be the right place for Platinum Angel. She's a giant artifact, and sometimes you can just bloop, she's free with our commander. Now, Wormcoil Engine just splits in half when it dies, and that's... By the way, here's just a little small history lesson here. For those of you that weren't playing back then, used to, when you went to a pre-release, everybody in the world got the exact same pre-release card. And they handed them out, and sometimes they were hits and sometimes they were misses. This was the one for Scars of Mirrodin. Everybody who signed up for the pre-release got a foil, date-stamped Wormcoil Engine. And we didn't think it was a big deal. Oh, yeah. There was also an Emrakul. Just saying. But, yeah. Now you get a random one that's could be any rare. And, of course, you know, we have Tika's Dragon, because let's face it, I'm me. And maybe 9 mana's not worth it, but there again, we've got so much ramp, and we've got our commander ramps. So, hey, that's, yeah, flying, trample, Rampage 4, and really, all Rampage 4 means is it's unblockable. Well, no, it's, you don't want to multiple block it. So, yeah, there's some lure shenanigans in green to where you can mana ramp this guy out and slap a lure on it and just get all ridiculous. But It was an artifact dragon, and I was like, yeah. I don't think I have Tika's dragon in any previous deck, because I believe this is the only one I own, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to check the inventory program. Anyway, but with that many artifacts, there is some things that you just kind of want to do. Number one, you want to copy them. Copy artifact and its kind. You know, you've got copy artifact and sculpting steel, Phyrexian metamorph, Saheeli's artistry. Just cards that copy artifacts, because you may need to copy a Gilded Lotus. You may need to copy a Darksteel Colossus. You know, it's whatever. Okay, let's other. Oh, I missed a mana ramp card. Probably missed more. I guess we'll roll through the rest of the artifacts. Predator flagships in there, because let's face it, it's amazing repeatable removal, and what's scarier than a flying Blightsteel? Okay, a shadow Blightsteel. But anyway, yeah, you can just randomly grant your things flying if you need them, or you can, it's 7 mana to shoot something, which odds are you probably won't be doing, all the time with your guys flying, because we're playing with the Eldrazi Monument that, we're going to feed with all these Thopters and, the Thopter that we're getting every turn off of Efficient Construction. I say every turn. Every time we cast, we're going to, we're going to get some Thopters here. And, of course, the Assembly. Now, do have, by the way, like I said last night, I played and I got Mirrorworks out, and I never would have dreamed I would have Mirrorworks the Heartstone in Xantcha. Oh my god! Or anything else, but it was Mirrorworks. Right now, pretty high on Mirrorworks. Of course, I have our Swiftfoot boots to kind of protect our commander. Got a spell book. Yeah, some people say you shouldn't play it, but you know what? It's what I got, so it's what I play. Thran Temporal Gateway, because here again, surprise blockers are surprising. God, I hate that. Anyway, if you can just, you're swinging in, Juggernaut, we're going to block. Because typically Juggernaut's not supposed to block ever. Now, Shield of the Ages is in here just because of the intense mana production. Yeah, this is a thing. It only prevents the damage to you personally. You can't save any of your creatures or whatnot. But, man, I really, really like it. Well, let's look at what I'm going to call removal. And it's going to start with the blue, quote-unquote, removal of counter magic. Of course, we got Counterspell, Negate, Mana Leak. Mana Leak, of course, better during the early game than it is the late game. Boomerang, which is sometimes just a murder. Sometimes it is. And, of course, Swerve. Now, Swerve, yeah, I like Swerve. But of course, we've got the chain reaction, or the Chaos Warp chain reaction and Blast Act. Trash for Treasure does a little work. Here again, we can sacrifice one of those Thopters to get back one of those artifacts that we, got blowed up, or maybe the artifact we had to pitch. Odds are we're probably not pitching an artifact when we pull from tomorrow. We're going to pitch it like a land or something. That's typically what we always do. Because in this deck, your lands are not really... Now, oh. Speaking of card draw, Russian Knowledge seems really good. I've always loved Russian Knowledge. I thought it was just the stuff. And then we got One with the Machine, which in this deck, your highest converted mana cost will be an artifact. So these are, for the purposes of this deck, these are virtually the same card. But, you know, it's a ton of mana. Of course, Thoughtcast, using hardcore affinity for artifacts, paying 1 to draw 2 seems like a really good deal. Fabricate is kind of an obvious include. Tutor out that Colossus. Now, Echo Storm. Yeah, some of these, the Commander Storm cards, you're just kind of, but here, the way I looked at this was, in the Christmas Land scenario, I have to be okay with spending 5 mana and getting 1 effect. So, am I okay with spending 5 mana and getting 1 token copy of an artifact? Well, you know what? If that's either one of the Colossuses, if that's Atika's yeah, I am good with only getting 1 Colossus. Now, if I draw this late game and I get 2 off of it, God forbid I get 3. But I think that's what you got to do with these Commander Storm cards is you've got to be okay with only getting 1 effect off of it, one round of effect. And if you can justify playing it then yeah, it's going to be even better if you can get it twice or 3 times or what have you. Draftness Restoration. Because let's face it, Vandal Blast happens, and we're not playing the Forge because we're broke. But you just are able to. Now, I've actually, way back years ago, used this defensively when, before we all got smart and we learned to end of turn things that were instants. Somebody had Mystical Tutored something at the top of their deck, and they did it like during their main phase. And then I took my turn and threw a bunch of artifacts on top of it anyway. I felt clever back then, but none of us were clever back then. Last card I've got is Grinning Totem. Because let's face it, everybody plays with artifacts. And I believe now this is, if you do not play the card by the next upkeep, put a disarm. Yeah, it's still that way. But everybody plays with artifacts. It's Grinning Totem. Doesn't get a lot of play. Love this card. By the way, there is something. That's it for the deck. In addition to, I'm working on something. Working on something for the channel and trying to get a little bit more exposure out there. Won't say too much yet, but hopefully it will take off and we will get a little more exposure and I'll be able to dedicate a little more time. But anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. And let me know what you think in the comments below. And of course, don't be scared to like or share. Let's see. I think that's it. Appreciate you watching. But right now, we're going to shuffle and cut.